Okay, this is going to be really fun, Sean. With over 160 credits, including Never Been Kissed, Twister, People Under the Stairs, and a famous milk commercial about Aaron Burr, what are you most recognized for?
I would say hands down across the board, Twister. Twister is probably the biggest one, but depending on your age group, if you're in your 20s, you're going to recognize me from Disney Channel. If you're covered in tattoos and are a horror fan, you're going to know me from People Under the Stairs. If if you're a woman over 35, it's Never Been Kissed. If you're a musician, it's That Thing You Do. But overall, the biggest umbrella is Twister.
From the heart of Hollywood, it's the Patrick Labber Show with Patrick Labberton.
It's the Patrick Labber Show. Patrick Labberton. He's the one you gotta know.
Tonight's episode, Sean Whalen.
Patrick Labber Show. He's the one you gotta know.
All right, you know him as Roach from People Under the Stairs, Alan from Twister, Drew Barrymore's work buddy from Never Been Kissed, and many, many, many more. I know him as the creator of one of the weirdest horror movies I've ever seen. Please welcome the amazing Sean Whalen.
Patrick, did I tell you my brother's name was Patrick? I did not tell you.
That's a good name. It's a good name. I know a lot of Irish brothers named Patrick and Sean.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, there was kid actors when we were kids. There was Sean and Patrick Marshall.
Okay.
Who starred in a movie called Pete's Dragon.
Yeah, Pete's
Sean
Dragon. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we were just talking just a minute ago. I don't know if we've ever physically met, but I definitely consider Sean one of the most talented and determined actors in this business. And I really want to talk about that because you really inspire me as far as what it's like being an actor in a business that can be very disposable. Act 1, beginnings. Let's start at the beginning, though. I mean, where does the desire to be an actor come from? How did you start? What got you into it?
It was, I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I was younger. My dad traveled a lot and I liked writing, so I thought I'd be a foreign correspondent. I thought I'd be traveling the world doing some stuff like that. But then I realized a lot of that were in war-torn places, so I kind of backed off of that. But I always entertained my brothers and sisters so I could get out of doing chores. Like I'd entertain them while they did the chores. And, I was youngest of four. And then in fifth grade was a seminal year because I produced and directed a version and starred in a version of Rumpelstiltskin. And I remembered casting the girl I had a crush on as the lead.
Yeah, that's a classic move, right?
Classic
there.
move, pretty classic. And then I had a good time doing that. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed directing it. I enjoyed putting it up. And then I just remember when it was time for curtain call, and we did one for my class, and then we did one from the whole school. And when I slid out in front of the whole school, like I had my little booties on because I was Rumpelstiltskin, I slid out in a fun thing and the crowd went nuts, just absolutely nuts. And I thought, oh, I like doing this. They like what I'm doing and appreciate it. I made them have some fun. I got laughs and the whole thing. I really like this. And then I moved up to a really big version of Christmas Carol at a bigger, not like a tiny community theater, but like kind of a big one for the state. And we did, 2 shows a week for 6 weeks or 4 shows a week for 6 weeks of Christmas Carol. And I played Tiny Tim, and I got really good reviews in the paper. And I thought, oh, okay, this is kind of what I'd like to do. And I kind of dipped a little bit in junior high school because junior high school is junior high school. And it didn't have as many programs. And then I really hit the ground running in high school. So that's kind of how it started. And then I got into the UCLA theater program from there.
Which is an amazing program. And, obviously UCLA is a huge school. Yeah. I also, in my research, I found out that you worked out at the Groundlings for a lot, which I did as well.
Yeah.
What was your experience at the Groundlings?
I was in the theater program only for a little while because I got in a good play with Daphne Zuniga from Spaceballs and Melrose Place, and I got a lot of heat, and it was kind of too fast for me. I had just gotten out there, And also there was some jealousy because I was a freshman getting a role, but it was only because I looked young. And I thought, this is, I don't know. I came from Maryland. I didn't want to stay in this little building in the back of the campus. I wanted to go to UCLA, you know, and
Yeah.
and like I said, the negativity was thrown at me just because I got a role, and I thought, this is kind of I don't know, it put a bad taste in my mouth, and I wasn't ready for the accolades that young. I think it was too much too quick. So I kind of just had a great 4 years with good friends at UCLA, and then my senior year, the person I worked for at the UCLA hospital, I was like a runner of X-rays and blood samples and things like that, said they'd go to the Groundlings all the time. You would go, you would love it. And I went, oh yeah. And so then I went in there and I started in 87, and I was in the Sunday show starting in 89.
I just followed you. Yeah. So who did you get to? I mean, like Tony
Steve
Sepulveda,
Hibbert,
Mindy Cohen. Steve is great. I love Steve.
Mindy Sterling. He passed. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
Yes, he just.
How long ago?
He was in Colorado. His his kids had moved to Colorado, and he was kind of teaching some improv, but working at Trader Joe's and just being around his kids. And God, just suddenly, you know, he would post every day, and he was such a lovely guy. He would say, I don't know if you ever saw his Facebook, but he was like, be grateful. This great artist was born on this day. And it was just lovely to see him, you know, enjoy his life and his kids. And yeah, we hadn't seen him post, and I guess he was found dead of a heart attack in his place.
Oh,
and it's such a bummer. Yeah, he's such a great guy. But my main mentor at Groundlings was Mindy Sterling.
I love Mindy. Mindy and I knew each other since I was like 8 years old. Mindy and I did like
great
little theater in Burbank. She's been on the show, but she was my intermediate teacher.
Yeah,
I had Karen Miriam. I had Patrick Bristow.
Oh, like Karen, I love. I was in the Sunday show with her and Patrick. You know, me and Karen did a great sketch called Fresno Love, and it was just too scuzzy. Like people would like, she would just stand still, and I was like yelling and screaming at her, and she was just so funny. And me and Patrick Bristow did MIT cheerleaders, where we both wore rigs and like, you know, impede his forward progress at a rate that goes against his inertia. You know, it's so stupid.
Well, this is what I love about Groundlings, because at Groundlings, it's a combination. It's like, if you don't know about it, it's a improv troupe in Los Angeles. It's like an SNL episode. They have improv exercises that are
sketch,
sprinkled, but it's sketch, and you write your own sketches. So you learn to write, and you mentioned that you're a writer already. And so what I loved about it was because I'm a writer, finding your writer's voice, finding out all of those different things. What was the big takeaway from Groundlings that you got?
My big takeaway was that I am so uninterested in the normal sketch setup. So I would write that store with the weird clerk, right? Or that date with the weird woman, or, you know, and I'd write them and I'd go, no, I'd just rip them up and go, I have to do weird stuff. So I had an interpretive dancer, an improv interpretive dancer that would do, and I wore a unitard with a big 0 on it. And people would throw out suggestions. And you remember Willie Etra, genius musician. And he would follow me with the music. And I would do interpretive dance at the Groundlings. I did, Dorothy 50 years later, stuck in Kansas and wondering why she left Oz, bitter.
At some point you put that on social media, and that's how I just thought that was so brilliant. I thought it was hysterical.
But that was a Groundling sketch, and I had to do, I just did offbeat stuff, you know? And I think that's what's followed my career, is that I've always done quirky and odd material, you know, which leads up to, which we'll talk about later, crust. I'm not going to do a normal,
without a doubt. I can totally see the connection. I'm not going to do a
normal thing. it's so interesting. No one's ever talked to me like that, who has been in the experience, but it is, you do find your voice there. And my voice was, I like to say, if someone said, what is your writing like? I said, I'd like to think of myself as Tim Burton that had no artistic ability. Because my
Which
favorite
is-
movie of his is the one with Johnny Depp. Oh my God, the black and white.
Edward Scissorhands.
No, black and white. The director, the crappy director, Ed Wood.
Oh, Ed Wood. Ed Wood. Yeah.
Yeah. And that,
Well, I mean, again, we'll talk about crusts later, but
Yeah,
I mean,
but
again,
I
it could have
think
very
that
well
was
been. Yeah.
I found my voice, and that was the voice.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about Groundlings or anything like a Groundlings, where as an actor, we are determined by the interviews that we get, and we're going up. It's the reverse. You're going up to be a peg to fit into the hole that they want you to.
Yes.
Versus at Groundlings, figuring out what you are. You're not defining yourself as a peg. You're figuring out what you want to be. So it's very formative. And for me, just because of the luck of the draw, I guess, Tony Sepulveda was our director, and he was also a big casting director.
Yeah.
He's a wonderfully funny guy.
Great guy.
And so I got a lot of work. I got a lot of work from that period of time in Groundlings. Did this sort of propel you into, because you work a lot right after this?
I got my commercial agent and I got my theatrical agent. Theatrical agent, I was there for a while, left, came back in the early 2000s. I'm back with her, Pam Ellis of Ellis Talent Group, and Doug Ely from, he's been my commercial agent since the Groundlings. The best thing was I never had to pound the pavement for representation. They came to the Sunday show, right? Yep. And that was really great. And it's so funny because people go, "Oh, Lisa Kudrow is brilliant," and I always go, "You have no idea. You didn't see her at the Groundlings. Like what you've seen in TV is like this much of what she can do." Like
she was one of my teachers at one point, like a very small period. Yeah, I mean, she was a great teacher. Yeah, you know. And do you know Jake Hogan by any chance? Because he's around that area.
I know of Jake. I didn't work with him. I mean, more like Tim Bagley. I knew really well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Those guys.
Yeah, just a really great group of people. And so you're in here, and then let's talk about the beginning of your career. So you do People Under the Stairs with Wes. I've never worked with Wes, but my brother did a movie with him, and he's like the weirdest director in the world because he's the most normal. He looks like some Ivy prep guy directing these movies. And you also were in this movie with Kelly Jo Minter, who I did summer school with, who I absolutely love.
Oh, I love Kelly.
So this is a horror movie back in the 80s. That's a thing. And it's like,
it was 91.
Okay, so in my mind, still the 80s, but exactly right.
Right.
But the idea is that it was still the time when there was a pathway. You did your comedies, or you did horror, or you did something, and then and you kind of follow that pathway. How was your experience with People Under the Stairs?
It was wonderful. I got extended at the Groundlings, right, into the, and then in the Sunday show, I got extended for 6 months. Were you in the main company?
No, I did Sunday show for as long as you can, and then they voted me out right as I got JAG, and they kind of blamed JAG, but it's typical stupid actor. I was more depressed that I didn't get into the main company than getting a TV show, which is just stupid.
Hey, I get no, I get it. Yeah. But I realized when I got extended, and then they were going to vote again. But I had gone to a casting director before that, and she had seen me in the Sunday show, and she said, "Man, you don't know how to do this at all. Like, you're terrible at auditioning." And I was, because I was, I hadn't done that part yet. I had just done the comedy sketch and all that stuff, and I thought, I have to learn how to act, right? So I told them not to vote on me, and I went to Playhouse West, and I was having these two very different styles. So I got a coach, Mark Spiegel, who was also Tia Carrera and a bunch of other people, and he helped me merge when to use the Groundlings more, when to use, Meisner more, when to use, and he had studied with Uta Hagen and Stella Adler, and so I had all this nice knowledge. And when I was trying out for, people go, "How'd you get into horror?" And I go, "It's the one that came in." Like,
it's the audition I got.
Anything. It's not like we go, "I'd like," you know what I mean? Everybody thinks we get to just shop for the roles we want,
Wouldn't that be nice?
They always goes, "Why haven't you done?" And you're like, "What do you mean? I auditioned 20 times I didn't get in.
You should
But-
do a movie with Tom Cruise. It's like, yeah, I should.
Yeah, right. You should have a sitcom. I forgot to pick that up at Walmart. Gosh darn it. Then I went and when I got the people under the stairs, I was like, oh, well, I played Renfield in high school, and my drama teacher was like, he's more than just crawling around eating flies. And it helped me to put some of that into Roach, because my guy said, there's a lot more going on here than just him crawling and laughing. He's like being a martyr. He's a hero. He's smart enough to get out of the house, but he stays to protect Alice, the little girl.
Right.
You know, and he goes, I'm going to teach you all this stuff. We're going to talk about all this stuff. And then you throw it out the window and be that kid that's fun and silly. So, but that has to be in there, that you have to know that you're heroic without knowing you're heroic. Right. And everyone goes, oh my God, it's amazing. You're so, and I was like, let's be honest, dude. I'm also skinny enough to fit through the walls. Because I was in the audition, Patrick, I'm in the audition, and there's guys that are like 6'7", and I'm going, what house is that?
Right, yeah.
And I'm kind of going, guys.
What you get how you get a part and why you get a part. When you're okay, so you do all the work of the acting,
yeah,
and then you go on set, and then what kind of director is
like
Wes
you
Craven?
said, he wanted us to be as real and quality as we could. Like he wanted the acting to be sincere. Now he turned up Wendy Roby, and they were a little over the top, but it was still grounded in their evil and strangeness. But the number one thing I remember is when I was having my death scene, I remember to say to him, like, I said, I want him to be really sad inside, but not to show it to the kid, right? To show that you have to save the girl or whatever. And I said, I'd love to prepare, because I'd learned preparing in, Playhouse West. And he said, I like that idea. So I went around, there was a little furnace that the set was, and I went around the side and I started, curling up and doing my preparation and weeping, and, and all the cast and crew and makeup and hair, they all knew me as Fun Sean. And they came over, they're like, is he okay? And no one else, stood in front of me and goes, he's working, and guarded me to get prepared. And I was like, that's a great director. He totally understood.
Well, let me ask you about that, because I have a thing personally. It's a personal thing.
Sure.
When you're acting, if you're good, your body doesn't know any different.
Right.
And so when you put yourself in a stressful situation, how do you protect yourself? How do you get out of it? How do you not just wreck your whole life?
I've always been good at compartmentalizing, and I don't know where that came from. I blame the fact that I had both my parents were married 3 times, so I had steps come in and steps go and so you're like, it's like 1984 is like your stepbrother and sister are they're your family, boom. We don't talk to them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like turning it on and off. And it would take me, half an hour or so to get back into shape. But I've always been able to like go there and then kind of be able to pull out of it. And I don't know, I can't tell you why. I can't say there's a system.
Well, I think I mean, you're protecting yourself, obviously, as a young child, if you're having to learn that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's something that most actors, at least before they get into it, they don't talk about or don't understand.
Yeah.
That, when you're going through a dark period in a character's life, you've got to work through that, but then you got to go away and have a regular life, and it can sometimes be confusing. Yeah. So you do this movie, obviously it becomes really popular. And it's a lower budget movie.
I'll say not really. I mean, it was number one. Okay. It was fine. In the horror world, it was. In the real world, if horror was, like, we were number one and in the top 10 for 6 weeks. If that was released today, I'd have a career. But back then, horror was just for the niche. They did it for the niche of it.
No, so this is true.
I didn't gain any heat from that.
No, but what it is what's interesting is when you look at it, because again, a lot of mine as well, a lot of our career, when we look back on it, it's because of TBS and HBO and
Mhm.
cable that kind of kept and built
Yes.
our movies
Yes.
into, like with Kelly Joe and I for summer school, that was only like on TBS for every day.
Yes.
Um, so, but you work with Wes Craven on this lower budget movie, but then it has you in Batman Returns.
So
Now,
so that makes sense because we're not surprised that Tim Burton would see a Wes Craven movie, right?
right, right.
So
But I'm not
so
saying. But what I'm interested in is not that how you get into Batman
oh, okay.
Returns, obviously, but a Wes Craven movie or a horror movie is intentionally kind of and people under the stairs. You're literally under the stairs.
Yeah.
Small, small, small,
Yes.
small.
Yes.
Batman Returns. I know. Daniel Waters, who wrote Heathers, wrote Batman Returns. It's a big movie. It's a big movie.
Huge. Massive.
So if you're on screen 3 minutes, you could have been there 6 months. I don't know.
Yeah.
What was your experience on Batman
I
Returns, and
think
what did you learn?
that was a where you go, okay, I'm part of something because it's August, it's hot in the Valley, Warner Brothers. So
Yep.
it's super hot. I'm in my trailer. They go out and you walk to the soundstage, and the plastic that hangs at freezers. I go through probably 4 of those, and then you get in, and it is cold as ice. It is so he
Yeah.
wanted real breath. They had a whole thing very cold, real ice on the ground in places.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you happen to know Matt Winston?
Yes, I love Matt.
Okay, so Matt and I know each other from Groundlings, and of course his dad is Stan Winston. And
Yes.
Stan, so he told me that they had chilled down all of this stuff for the Penguin sets
Yes.
to like what you're saying. So
Yep.
these were like giant meat lockers, basically.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So that was it. And I think it got to me because I actually went up on my lines a couple times, started to get nervous. There's some suits standing right in front, looking at their
Right.
watches, which doesn't help. Tim's
Nope.
way far away in the thing, and he just walks through and he goes, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Well, how would you say that line?" And I said, "Well," and he goes, "How would you say it?" And I go, "Well, it was written awkwardly." And
Yeah.
so I said, "I'd say it like this." And he goes, "Do that. That makes sense. You're not losing anything. Just do that." As soon as I did that, I was great. Then Michael Goff walks in and he starts going up on his and Tim comes over and he goes, "Is there like a cone of like forgetting our lines here?" But kept it light and fun, and it turned to the suits and goes, "See ya. Goodbye.
Right.
You're
Leave me
out.
alone.
You're not helping. You're not helping." And they're like, it's like,
So
well,
you'd mentioned Tim Burton. You're working with Tim Burton. What was that like? I mean, was that a moment
he's
for
so
you?
chill, so lovely. Well, I was literally sat down in a hammock, and my mom. It took me forever to get up to Maine, this cabin. Sat down. She handed me a beer. I'm like, and then all of a sudden, ring. Tim Burton wants to meet you on Wednesday. That was Monday night, so I had to spend the whole day Tuesday getting home. But the best part is he said, let's keep the paper boy because he's the voice of the city, right?
Yep.
He's how the city and the citizens are reacting. So, people are freaked out about the penguin creature and blah, 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 blah. And then I did it, I show up twice with a couple other headlines, and he goes, "We may need him." So that's August. And I'm on the payroll through February, getting paid every week. And then we call and say, "Hey, is he exclusive?" Because I booked a couple commercials and a guest star. I could still do it while I'm on the Warner Brothers payroll. And
That's beautiful.
And then I remember the wrap party. He was standing at the front door welcoming everybody, which is lovely. And he's saying hi to everybody. And I walk up and he goes, "Sean Whalen, the reason Warner Brothers Accounting hates me." And I was like, "Thanks for the, and he really,
I love this story because I did a movie called Yes Man. It was a Jim Carrey movie.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
Jim was like at the peak of his power, and he wanted to shoot the movie in order. I was like in the third scene and the very last scene.
Oh,
and they had
lovely.
to keep me, and I just had 2 scenes. They had to keep me on
Wait,
the payroll.
how would you
for
not
the
do
whole
a drop
production.
pickup?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know because they should have. They absolutely
Right.
should have. but it's, it's like, and then based on how many days you worked, which was every day apparently, according to the sign in, that's how your residuals are done.
Yes.
So for like a 2-second scene in this movie is the biggest residuals I get because of exactly that. It's just the trick of a deal.
Well, people say to me, like, do you make a ton of money on Batman Returns? And I go, no, because the cast was massive. And I go, even though I had a long thing, I go, and they go, so what's your biggest? And I go, well, Twister, because it was big or just as big or close to as big, but our cast was 20,
right,
25. And so those are my best residuals because you know how it is. It's the bigger, longer you're on set, and then the piece of the pie.
So a smaller project which people may not know about is Amazing Sea Monkeys Come to Life. The Amazing, how do you pronounce that?
Amazing Live Sea Monkeys.
Amazing Live Sea Monkeys with the Kyoto brothers, who I'm a big fan of. And it was this TV show you did, your first TV show, or first series.
Yeah.
And were you in full makeup, full prosthetics for the whole thing?
The entire time. It was a nightmare.
How do you deal with that? Yeah,
I did it well. I didn't want to do the show. I literally said to my agent, I don't want to do the show. I'm claustrophobic. I don't want to, So, of course, you know how it is. You go to the audition because you don't care.
Because the agent says, well, no, don't worry about it. Just go to the audition.
Right. And then don't, because you go, I don't want this part. You're totally relaxed. You put no pressure on yourself and you do the best work. As when you don't care, you do the best work. When you feel the pressure of, I need this job, your work, you have to work harder. So, of course, they fell in love with me because, and then they negotiated. And I said, you know what? I was getting married. I needed the money. It was only for like 6 weeks. I was like, you know what? I got to, But man, by week 2, 5 a.m., that cold glue going on my neck and a panic attack would just go to the point where, oh my God, they had to give us cool suits. One of the guys passed out from the heat. Another guy had a breakdown. And then I one day had one and I just said, I got to get through it. I got a book of like how to, don't have the luxury of a negative thought. I had to write a card that I'm doing this for the money. I'm doing this. I can endure it, and that freed me up to get through the rest of it. And it was just a disappointment because it was scheduled for 11 something on CBS and it was always taken over by football. By college football.
Right. It was a weekend show.
It was a weekend show, but it wasn't like 8:30, 9, 9:30.
Right.
It was 11.
They usually put the live action, more budgeted stuff up at the end.
Later, and then it would always be preempted by football. So it didn't do anything for my career, but I was about to get married and the paycheck out, of course.
We'll be back after these messages. Have you ever thought about becoming an actor and making your friends and family jealous? Well, have I got a deal for you. Here at Working Actors School, we offer many different classes so you can become a famous actor like me. And we have a delightful selection of classes, including Adult Weekly. It's every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Here you will learn how to be an actor with other adults. How do we do it? How is it possible? Is it a miracle? Yes, it is. A miracle called Zoom. We teach everything online so you can become a famous actor and impress your friends and family. So if you want to be a famous actor and make your friends and family jealous, then you need to sign up at Working Actors School. You can get a hold of us at workingactorschool.com. You can sign up for classes at workingactorschool.com. You can make a reservation for the class online at workingactorschool.com. So come check us out. It's workingactorschool.com. Act 2, Success. Well, let's talk about, I think, the thing that I would count, because I'm not you, I don't know your career.
Sure.
The Aaron Burr commercial, the milk commercial, kind of like launches this huge, you just became this international, I don't know if it's international, at least national, everywhere. National. It was everywhere. It was a great commercial. If you've not seen it, it's you run a museum for Aaron Burr. You're eating a peanut butter sandwich. You don't have milk. You could win $1 million, but you can't talk. How does that affect, it's this big, huge national commercial. I would imagine you made some money on that, but how does that affect your career when all of a sudden now you're the milk guy?
That's a great question. First of all, it was California only for two.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. So I was, remember the regional payout. So I was making, after taxes and fees and agent or whatever, I was making $400 a quarter.
Ouch.
But
oh man,
it was on all the time. I couldn't walk the streets. Of course, it killed my commercial career, and that was my bread and butter. It
Yeah.
killed my commercial career.
Explain what you mean, because there's guys like the Verizon guy, and the people that when they sign on, they actually get now. I don't know if they did it then. They get a kill fee where if
Yeah.
they know it's going to be that you're going to be known as this one character, they have to pay you extra. I'm
Yeah.
sure that didn't happen here.
No,
But
because it's only one. So
yeah,
that Can You Hear Me Now guy and all those guys,
yeah.
they're signing on for a multi-year contract. I signed up for one commercial, but I literally had the same effect as them because it was such a popular commercial. Literally, I shot it on a Tuesday. The following 10 days later, it won the Clio as best commercial.
It had a good director too. Who was the guy behind
Michael
it?
Bay.
It was
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
No explosions.
so it was if nothing happened from that, I think my career would have been over. But Spielberg saw it, and a girl in my acting class says, I work for Amblin. Spielberg loves new faces, and he loves that commercial. And I was like, you know. So in
Sure.
94, she tells me that. And then 7 months later, I got Twister, executive produced by Steven Spielberg. And
Right.
it wasn't an audition.
At that point, was it a DreamWorks movie at that point? Yeah, I think it was.
No,
right?
it was
No.
Amblin.
Warner. Amblin.
and
Okay, so
Warner.
Amblin,
Yep.
which is
Yeah.
Spielberg's company.
Still,
So
but
let's go to
still,
look.
yeah.
So for Twister then. So you get actually no, we got to wait for Twister because I do have one more question.
Mhm.
So again, like we were talking about, you're a working actor school. So the idea here is you're always doing things. And if you look at your IMDb, it's like, oh, this guy works all the time, but maybe not. Maybe it's just like an episode here, an episode there.
Sure.
You do Friends, which is huge. You do a Jury Duty with
Pauly Shore.
with Pauly Shore, and then you work on Waterworld, which again to me is like the Batman movie, where
Yeah.
it's like legendarily over budget, over time, in the middle of the ocean. I think it has a dog and kids. It's like every single thing they say
Yeah.
don't do.
Yeah.
How long were you on this movie, and was it a
luckily,
nightmare for you?
I was only there for a week. I was only there for
okay.
a week. But the best part about that, my wife at the time and I got to go to Kona and hang out, and I went to, because I was just it was called a smoker, one of the guys that rides the jet skis that are all kind of covered in oil, and so I went to my jet ski lesson, and I had jet skied before, and he goes, this makes it go fast, this makes it turn this, and I go and I do it in like 5 minutes, and they go, okay, and I go, oh, is that it? And they go, no, you got 2 hours, so go for it. So that's what I did. I just literally was like all around the ocean on a Waterworld thing, like doing it. So I was like, how sharp can I? And of course I turn it so sharp, I fly off. And then when I worked, I didn't go out far. We were kind of near the shore. So I didn't go out to the big set that's out in the middle of the ocean. So I was just kind of near the shore, and I did a scene with Kevin Costner that pops out and kills us both. And it got cut from the movie. So I go see the movie. I'm not in it. And then in the credits, my name is in the credits. So I'm literally like, what is going on? They said, you're in the TV edit. Because they, remember they used to do TV movies back. And so they split it into 2 nights, added other scenes. So I'm in that, and I'm in the DVD. But I'm not in the original release. If you get the original release, you're not going to see me. You're going to see my name. But because my name's in it and I'm in a cut, I was part of I was still in it officially,
Okay. And that's, again, another great example of, I'm doing it, Mom. I made it. I'm a movie with Kevin Costner. It's going to be it. And it's like, then it happens. But okay, so let's get to Twister. So Jan de Bont directs this. He's a great cinematographer. Now he's directing Twister. It was not first, but kind of big use of CGI, I remember.
Well, it was right after Jurassic Park.
Okay.
So they wanted a new challenge. They went to Twister, and they went to them and said, hey, could you get us a trailer of us riding to a tornado? So they're excited. ILM, because dinosaurs are solid. Tornadoes are not. So it was a fun challenge for them. So it was a money grab. They knew exactly, they had that element with ILM. They had Jan de Bont just coming off of Speed, and Michael Crichton pitched a tornado movie. And
But
it was
here's the
based
thing,
off
which I
a
think why,
documentary. Yeah.
and you'll either not agree with me or call it bullshit. I think one of the reasons why I like Twister is your group. It's the
Right.
scenes where you guys are eating. It's the scenes where you guys are interacting with all of your different characters. That's why it's fun to watch them go through the special effects.
Well,
I mean,
so
the cast is crazy good. You guys had such a good, like relationship together, a good chemistry.
And
What
I
was it
think-
like working with all those people?
So the reason that is, Patrick, is because when we got to set, the consensus was we're the Goonies pointing up at the special effects. So
right.
I said to Alan Ruck, I said, "What's our backstory?" And he goes, "How about Alan and Sean in a truck?" Like, and I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Dude, we're know where you are. We're not. It's not our story. It's the special effects story. So we're just here to service that." So everybody lost any pretension, and we all relaxed and had fun. And then, really, a lot of it is Jeff Nathanson, the on-set writer who went on to write Catch Me If You Can and The Terminal with Steven Spielberg. He had great one-liners for us, like the pulling it from every day of my life. Did you fold the maps? Every single day. I don't know what that meant. I literally had no idea what it meant, because back in 95 when they were shooting it, they literally said, Bill pulls in and greets the gang. And so I go in, and then they come up and they go, "We need something for you guys." Well, you're the guys in charge of the thing, so maybe we should do something about the geography or roads, or, "Oh, let's do this one about the maps." Okay, you stand over there. You're going to say that. You're going to walk over here. Da, 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 da. Boom, we knock it out. And that's the last I heard of it until I get on social media and and I finally had to go, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "That's your line in the movie." But yeah,
That's amazing.
It was because we were so relaxed. Jeff Nathanson was throwing us great lines that, that's what made it. That's why people like the movies, because I thought years later people would talk about the special effects.
Yeah.
They're saying what you said. They talk about us.
Right. Because the relationship, and again, Philip Seymour Hoffman's in it, you, Alan Ruck, all these guys that are just, Bill, Helen, like just a crazy amount of good actors that can pull together and give performances that make you care.
Yes.
When you're doing that, again, was it in a movie like that? My experience is obviously you don't interact with the CGI, but you interact with the with the wind machines and the rain and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Was that was the physicality of that movie difficult?
Only I would say the hardest was just the hail scene, because it was really funny. They go, "Come over here to the ice machine so you guys can see that the hail isn't that bad," and they shoot it out, and there's huge chunks, like not small. We all go, "Well, no, that's not that great." Great, all right, let's shoot. And I got beamed in the noggin with a huge piece of ice and cut my head. And in the middle of my scene, I'm on a van. I fall down. I'm bleeding. I dove into the van. I'm holding my head. And I'm so excited because Jan is just shooting everywhere.
Yeah.
And I go to Jan. I go, "Did you see it? It's so great." And he goes, "Oh, I didn't swing my camera over there. I'm sorry." And I'm like, again, it was such a great bit. It would have been such a great, it would have been a great
best
moment.
Performance of my career. You got it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready when you are, CB.
Yeah. You know how that is.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. It's like, or the time, when you think you're in a 2-shot and you go, "Oh, that was pretty good there." And it's like, you realize, no, it was their close up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then you do Never Been Kissed with Raja Gosnell, another favorite of mine. This guy's a great editor. And so he comes into this. It's you, Drew Barrymore, David Arquette, Michael Vartan. What was it? You were kind of, if I remember right, you kind of separated. Was it one of those things where you worked for 3 days and then everything?
So I'm in the newspaper part of it. There's different sections, the high school part of it, the newspaper part of it. But the greatest part of that is Drew and Nancy I had met before that. we had become friends because they were fans of the milk commercial or whatever. And I reached out to them, and they went out, hung out with her and Nancy Javonen, who's now married to Jimmy Fallon, and
Drew's company was Flower Films. And
Flower
that's the
Films.
kind of things that they would do.
They say to me, what would you do with this role? Because it was just supposed to be handing her a note with a booger on it. That's it. One line. And I said, I think it's hilarious that he thinks he's the Wolf of Wall Street, but he's literally a copywriter's assistant. So day one, shot one, I write all my own lines. She loves it and says, write all your own stuff from now on, write everything. And so I'd come in with a list every day of jokes, and they would cross out the ones they didn't want me to do and said to do those.
Uh-huh.
And the greatest thing is day one, shot one, the Raja said, look, we need to shoot that booger thing. And Drew goes, wait a minute. Now it's totally changed. And he goes, yeah, but it's in the script and the studio wants me to shoot the script. And she goes, Sean, would your character do that? So I'm sitting there going, I don't want to get in between this. You know what I mean? It's like, so I'm going, and then she goes, Sean, would your character, this Wall Street wannabe, would he pick his nose and I said, no. And Roger goes, well, let's shoot it. We won't use it. And Drew goes, absolutely not. I don't want the studio to see it and ruin everything that Sean Whalen did.
Wow.
And I just was on her show recently thanking her for that, because there was an article in People magazine about it. Someone talked to me about it, and it was in People, and their show talked about it, and I called into the show, and we had a great discussion. It was really great.
I've heard that about her, though. I mean, obviously she's been around forever, but she's also produced, she produced Charlie's Angels. She and Nancy did all these great movies.
Yeah.
She's a good producer, and I've heard that. I didn't, but that's a really great example.
It was fantastic.
Why she's a good producer.
Defended my work. And then because I did so well then, they kept bringing me in. And so I ended up having a big arc where I was supposed to just have one line with a booger on it. And they let me write everything, and I improvised everything that I did a lot of people talk about the bar scene. That was all improvised. So it was real. It was like,
that's not easy. I mean, again, it goes back to the groundling.
But I had my training. I had my training.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey there, I'm Patrick Laberteau, and I've been an actor since I was a little kid. So I know what it's like to be a little kid actor. So I have a class here called Youth Weekly, and that meets every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and it is an awesome class if you are young and want to learn all about acting. We have a great set of kids, and it's taught on Zoom, so you can do it from anywhere. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop, on an iPad. It's awesome. I've had kids take a class while they were in the car coming back from soccer practice. I swear to you. So if acting is in your blood, come to workingactorschool.com and check out the Youth Weekly class every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I'll see you there. Act 3, present day. So I want to talk to you for the remainder of this about your movie, but before we do, I mean, you were on Lost, you're in Bold and the Beautiful, you've done a lot of work.
Everything but a Western.
Right, and I was in Little House, so I got to do the Western.
You got it. You beat me.
Trust me, you're not missing anything.
I know, but what I heard is they're really hot.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. It's always going to be like, what's your temperature at your set, and how, and what's the craft service like?
Right.
Okay, so here's the thing that we talked about a little bit before, and I want to talk about here, which is, obviously you're recognizable. I'm sure you're recognized every day for something, right? Where it's like, oh, you're that guy, or I know you from this, or whatever it is. But it happens.
It happens.
But the reality is that you could work on, and you've worked every year on your IMDb. You've worked every year. But sometimes it's just an hour or a day or 2 days or a week. Yeah. So you are super persistent, and you keep trying to create things, and you've created this movie Crust, along with a bunch of other things that I'm not familiar with in the IMDb, but like short films and other projects.
Right.
How does this, where does this determination come from? And then we can talk about Crust, but like, how making a movie isn't easy. Getting one made isn't easy. Starring and writing and directing and making a movie isn't easy, but you did all of them.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
I always wrote. I know you feel the same way. We're so lucky that our Groundlings experience taught us to write. Because nowadays, the young kids don't understand. There is no such thing as an actor anymore. You and I both know this. There's no training, getting good, getting an agent, and waiting by the phone. That
Right.
doesn't happen anymore. It's
How many followers do they have? That's
yeah,
all I
right,
ask.
right. And what are you doing? And so I have a whole program that I'm putting together called You're the 90, meaning everyone goes to their agent. It's 10%. I go, the agent is the gallery owner. If you're not bringing them art to put up on the gallery wall, you're not very useful because they got nothing to sell. If you sell, oh, he just got in this short, just got into the LA International Film Festival. His working on his second feature that he wrote. If you don't have anything to sell, that's the 90 is you. You're 90% of your career. They're only 10, but yet everybody relies on them like they're the 90. So
No one's discovered on their couch.
yeah, exactly. I think it's honestly, it's ADD that I just can't sit around. I have to keep doing stuff. I think the Groundlings literally set a spark in my head of ideas and projects and things. And so, God, I did a short film in '98. I did a one-man show. I did a play with John Cervenka and Chris Darga at the Groundlings. I did.
Darg is an amazing sculptor as well.
Yeah,
I mean, just creative all over the place.
Insane artist, artist, and insanely talented. And I think it's just I never stopped. And I wrote this film after I had a really bad depression. After my divorce, I was really angry. I had pitched this idea years ago to a producer. There's like, horror is expensive. And I go, make it simple, like a guy in a sock monster suit and a laundromat, right? And then I pitched the idea. I came out of this depression, talked to one of my good friends who's really, really strict on logic because I wanted him to balance the insanity of the world, but make it logical for the world's rules. And if you see Crust, the world's rules are intact. It's not like you go, I thought you said blah, 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 right? Everything lines up because he's really good at that. And also one of my person who makes me laugh more than anybody. And he and I wrote Crust together and tried to get it done in 2016. Several different producers came and went, and then circled back to the original producer, Felissa Rose, and she had a new partner, and the guy understood what I was doing. And then my manager said, I said, look, I'm producing it, I'm starring in it, and I co-wrote it. And he goes, nah. And I go, well, what do you mean? He goes, and you know this, Patrick. No one cares unless you direct. Because producer can be a vanity credit.
Right.
A lot of people write. And of course, you're going to put yourself in the lead.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything unless you direct. So I go, all right, I guess I got to direct. And then I watch Ron Howard on a masterclass say, all actors should be directing because they're the best directors in terms of story and how to work with actors. Most people don't do it because they're scared of the camera. And he goes, you need to just get a good DP to be there to help you through it. And then you will learn as you go, but don't let that stop you. Like direct because you're good at it. And I did know more than I thought. We all know more.
Well, you worked with Jan de Bon. I mean, did you call him for your DP?
but I called Alan Ruck and Alan did it, Alan Ruck did it but and
also people who may not know his name, Daniel Roebuck, who we hired for our TV show, who's amazing. I mean, he's great in the movie. And Rebecca, I don't have her last name. She was wonderful.
He hustles all the same.
Yeah,
he's hustling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's that you when you started teaching, you knew way more than you thought you knew. Right?
Well, I've learned way more than I thought I was going to as a teacher.
But you know what I mean?
Like a director, no, I totally get it. But like as a director too, when you're having to explain something to somebody that you inherently know, once you have to put words to it, it becomes, I seem to learn more from that.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, I haven't directed yet, but I would imagine that directing is like that. But
if you're teaching, Patrick, if you're teaching, you can direct 100%.
Fair. Okay. I get that.
Because that's what I did. My journey was teaching for a while. Then I had a sketch troupe and the whole thing. That helped. And I directed their shows. Like I put together which sketch goes where, and then the music breaks, how I want the lighting to be. And
well, that's the thing. Everybody should go watch this movie. Usually when you're on a podcast and you talk about a movie that they've been made, you end up watching it and you go, oh, there was a good scene in there. But no, this movie's all of it's really good. You break it down into different chapters, which I really thought was really smart and like a great idea. There's a lot of visual like class to it. I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can buy it somewhere, but you can also see it free other places. It's
Yeah,
really
it's
easy.
Tubi, Amazon, Fandango, Apple.
And it's called Crust, and
Yeah.
it's totally enjoyable. I really, yeah, I read a lot of books. I watch a lot of movies on this channel, and it's like sometimes you're like, that was a great idea you had there. That was good, interesting.
Right, not
No,
executed, right?
right. It was real, but this was really a successful thing. Okay, so you go through this process, and the last question here is, what do you take away from that experience? What is it that you're
The main thing was I was better at it than I thought I would be. But I had known this script really, really well. I knew how to work with the actors really, really well. Again, but that one, my producer said, I'm going to get you the cast and the crew. And I go, no, you're not. You're going to get me the crew. I'm getting the actors. I need people I trust for my first movie. I said, I have to have people I trust for my first film. And I let them have the same kind of agency that Drew gave me. What do you want to do? Alan Ruck goes, oh my God, I want to be the cheesiest. I want fake white teeth. I want a terrible wig. You know,
I love the wig.
He goes, I want to be as loud and obnoxious as Trump, you know? And I said, he goes, I want to be that guy. And then like Agent Bynes, the guy that's, you know, the twins or whatever, he had a whole litany of how he wanted to have, you know, he's like call the DP. Will grease stains show up? Because he knew he was going to eat noodles in this scene. You know what I mean? Like everybody brought something wonderful.
By the way, in the scene with the twin, you have the best line in movies that I've seen in a long time, which is, I'll get it wrong, but it's like, you know that old phrase, never play Frisbees with knives?
Yeah. Right. They say, always be careful when playing Frisbees with knives. Just remember, I guess we weren't so careful. Because he has a cut on his face.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey, I'm Patrick Labertone. I play an actor on TV, and I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I know what it's like if you are in a class with people, and sometimes you just want to have that one-on-one connection with the person that you're working with to go over, I don't know, a particular scene, or maybe you have an audition, or maybe you just want the privacy to try stuff that you don't really know is going to work and not have anyone look at you. Well, I have the perfect solution for you. It's called One-on-One with Patrick Labertone. You can book your time at workingactorschool.com, and it's just me and you for an hour going over whatever it is you want to work on, breaking down the script, talking about character, figuring out your intention, the spine of the scene, everything that goes in to making a dynamite performance. So if you're interested in acting and want that one-on-one personal attention, check out One-on-One with Patrick Labertone. You can find all the information you need at workingactorschool.com. Act 4, questions. Okay, so now we're into the portion of the show called The Questions, or otherwise known as Tina's Gotta Know, because Tina's my wife and she came up with all these questions.
Right.
And the first question is, that's showbiz. Sean, what's the most Hollywood moment in your life?
When I had heat from Twister and I went into meet with Barry Sonnenfeld for Men in Black, and I was sitting in his waiting room. I heard him put on my reel.
Oh,
I could hear him putting on my reel. Didn't get through it. Walked in. He goes, you're great. You're great. Because I knew Spielberg was behind it. And I had done well on Twister. And this was a great role. It was literally Tommy Lee Jones' assistant. Amazing arc. Would have changed my career. Amazing. They signed the role to me. You're great. We can't wait to work with you. Walk downstairs. And all my friends are auditioning for the role they just gave me upstairs.
Wow.
And then that I close it on a Friday, and the Monday they call up and they wrote it out.
there's
the
other shoe.
Yep. So like that's the most Hollywood, from the heat to the dream just disappears. I know my career would have been completely different if I would have done that role. I don't think I ever would have had to worry about work again. I'm not even kidding. That's how good the role was.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but that's Hollywood, right?
Oh,
the up
it's
and the down
in one,
in 48
absolutely,
hours.
all in one weekend.
Yes.
Okay, so that's Showbiz Part 2. What's the most embarrassing Hollywood moment in your life?
When I was Bet on the set of Twister was our last week, and per diem, right? If you're
Yep.
working a ton and you're just gaining per diem. And so we were all sitting around betting, throwing rocks. Like, I bet for $50, I bet you can't hit that, light pole with this pebble, and they increased and they increased. And I raised $1,200 if I would dance naked on a truck in front of the crew. And I was like, you know what? The only thing I'm worried about is it's slippery on the top of that van. So I was naked with sneakers on and dancing around for 30 seconds. And crews, they're going, oh, it's going to be great. And the crew's literally working, and they go,
Right. Oh,
all right.
Sean.
They don't even care. They don't
No.
care. It didn't
And
mean
in a
anything.
world without cell phone cameras, it was possible to do something like that.
It would be, yes. Thank God, no cell phone cameras.
Number 3, show me the money. What is your biggest missed financial opportunity? Don't need real numbers, but sometimes we come up across.
Well, I think it would have been the Men in
get...
Black role, and probably second would have been Galaxy Quest. I was very close to getting a pretty big role in that, and I didn't get it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's like there's. I guess I'll jump to it. There's another question here called No Show. What part did you want but didn't get? What's the one that got away?
That is really the Galaxy Quest one.
Okay.
That's the one I wanted. Remember, it's the one with Alan Rickman, the Martian.
God, I love it. Yeah,
the Martian that loved him. That really loved him and believed that he was that. And then so Alan Rickman, when the kid's dying, he says his little catchphrase so the guy can, I will avenge you, whatever. And Alan Rickman does it just for the good of that kid passing. I loved that role. And that broke my heart that I didn't get it, because I read that script and I was like, if it's half as good as the script, it's brilliant. And it was brilliant.
Yeah, it really does seem Spielberg loved you. That was a DreamWorks show. That was another one that was in that same group of producers.
Yeah.
Wasn't Walter Parks and all those guys from Twister a part of that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, whatever number we're on. Showdown. What do you think is the best thing you've ever done and the worst thing you've ever done? I'm talking business, no kids. But like professionally, like the best acting you've done or the best performing or directing?
I feel like Crust is probably my best acting, to be really honest, that I got to, I feel like it's some of my strongest acting. And the weird reason is because I had no time to worry about it. As actors, given us time to overthink, we'll take that opportunity. And when I had so much to do, I knew, and you'll understand this, I knew in my brain it was pre-dance or post-dance. And that's two different guys. And I knew the guy that was pre-dance and the post-dance. So I had no time to worry about it. I had no time. So I was so free. I probably was the freest I've ever been in my life. And luckily, the movie shows a huge range of comedy and, stuff like that for me. So I would say that's the best thing I've ever done. And the worst thing I've ever done was more of a business thing. Joel Surnow, who did 24, offered me a series regular on the show Special Unit 2. And my manager at the time, she left 3 months later to be a real estate agent, right? She said, no, let's not take the literally he calls me up and goes, I want to make you a series regular, right? I don't take it. I say, I'm going to let me be a recurring guest star just in case I have other opportunities. So I had no opportunities. So then they get a second season, they move to Canada and they fire me because when they get a second
you don't have a
season,
contract.
They always tool it. They have to do something. Yep. And so I was the easy disposable. And then Joel went on to do 24. And because he had a bad taste in my mouth that I didn't take his offer, I never got on that show. But he had literally put me in everything he did before that. And I listened to this manager like a fool. And then she takes me to lunch and goes, I'm going into real estate. So,
yeah, we love our managers, don't we? Yeah. Wink. No.
Well, when you're, you know what it is, dude? You know this. Self-love, confidence. Like the Eddie Murphy documentary is not that interesting because he goes, I like myself starting at age 10. So he was never nervous. He was never unconfident. He was 19 when he was doing all that stuff, 48 hours and all that stuff. And he was confident as hell because he liked himself.
Right.
And if I liked myself more, I would have known.
Final question. Show me some love. What's your favorite performance of mine?
Oh my God. I don't know your work as much as I...
Jag or Little House or Heather's is
Little
all
House.
on the table. Little House is a great answer, Sean. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much. What are your plugs? I want you to plug whatever you're doing.
So
you announced something just recently.
Yes, I've just, from Crust, Rebecca Kennedy, who played Neela, and I, her and her husband, me and my wife started 2 production companies. We did a short film. We did a web series that just got picked up. And our first movie, Swipe, that we did together, a horror movie, just got picked up for Saban. And because the sales agency liked that movie so much, our third movie is going in production in 10 weeks. And
congratulations,
we've got a sales agent already attached because they're so confident in the script and what we're doing, which for a low budget, under 500 is unheard of. So
but if you look at Crust, you know that you can do it.
Yes.
That's
and
the other thing,
I can't wait for you to see Swipe. And I would really love to come back at the end of the year, beginning of January, so I can plug that.
Absolutely.
Because it's coming out in Q1. And you can find me at Sean Whalen Actor on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah, check those out. You do really good stories. And I think... what do they say? If you can fake being honest, or if you can fake being genuine, you really have something. You're so genuine and so honest in your posts, and I think that people respond to that more than people would understand in Hollywood, because Hollywood has always felt to be like a polished presentation,
slick,
where what you get on your socials, at least from what I watch, is the super honest, like, stories that you tell. And I think they're really awesome.
You will know what I say when I say you and I are literally no different than anyone else trying to pay their bills, trying to make their insurance, trying to raise their kids if you have them. Like, we're literally the same as anyone else. The only difference is that our job shows up on your TV in your local movie theater. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. And for some reason, that makes you think we're special. It doesn't. We're just normal.
Well, I'll give you that credit, but some people do, and that is where they run into trouble.
Yes.
It's like, if you're defining yourself I think everybody should define themselves by their work. Like, are you doing quality work? But if you define yourself by fame, you get lost, and it's not the same thing.
Yes.
Well, Sean, thank you so much, man. I really enjoy your movies. I really enjoy your work, and I'm looking forward to seeing your next movie. Thanks for coming on the show.
It's the Patrick Labber Show. Patrick Labberto. He's the one you gotta know.
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast and checking it out. It is an audio podcast wherever you get your audio podcast, and it's a video podcast over on YouTube. My socials are all patrick.labberto. And that is on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. I'm everywhere. If you want information on the school, you can go to workingactorsschool.com. We have classes going all the time. It's a lot of fun. I suggest you check it out. Hey, we'll see you next time.
It's the Patrick Labber Show. Patrick Labberto. He's the one you gotta know.
Meet Keith, loving dad, board game champ, bus driving pro.
I drive 65,000 miles in my bus each year. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. Like how there are some things I simply can't see. On my route the other day, a car tried to sneak past me and ends up right in my blind spot. I turned slowly, so I accidentally avoided. But no car should be in the blind spot for a 40,000-pound bus. It's our roads. It's our safety.
Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.
Hey, we're Stacy and Pete, and we host We Don't Want to Grow Up, a podcast all about those warm and fuzzy memories from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s.
We're revisiting the pop culture, toys, and memories that shaped a generation.
Gen X, millennials, and I'm over here representing the Zennials. So if you ever experienced waiting for your Delia's catalog to show up after school, or if you got lost wandering the aisles of Toys R Us, this show's for you. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are available.